It's Mental Health Chat Monday, Season 3. This is the podcast where we sit down with an interesting guest every week and talk about mental health and mental wellness. Because here on Mental Health Chat Monday, our motto is turning mental illness into mental wellness. I am your host, DDare Bionic. Thank you so very much for joining me today. But I'm not why we're here to talk. I am just the catalyst. I am just the person sitting in a chair asking the questions. Today, we are here to talk to a very good friend of mine, a beautiful soul whose energy literally brightened my whole entire life and day the moment she stepped out of her vehicle. Christina Warden is here today. Hello.
Oh my goodness, Darius. You are the best. Hello.
How are you today?
I am, as I was saying to you before we got started, I am relatively much better than I have been the last couple weeks. I'm in a decent spot today. My hormones are working with me more, thank you.
Good.
I'm at a stage of life where I have to schedule around them.
Yes.
But I've learned this, so I respect it. We're at the beginning of March. February was intense, I think. I'm just going to say, like, for the world, if we can just say that.
Yes.
First off, from the top. Whew, it's been a rough start to the year.
Yeah.
And I anticipated February would be a lot for me because I get, I'm affected by the seasons, and the sun was gone for a million years, and the snow was a million feet high for so long. It felt like.
Yeah. It did feel like winter. The darkness of winter.
It was like Game of Thrones. Yeah. Like we were in the north, and it was rough. So I knew at the end of winter here, and with the new regime ascending, I had been expecting that the end of February would be intense for me, and she was. She was.
Getting you together.
Truly. It took all of my self-care skills to power through, but we're here. We made it, okay?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
And I am feeling, I'm appreciating that the sun is coming back, that some life is coming back outside. Some social connections are nourishing me. Thank you, you being one. And I feel like I'm doing meaningful things that are good for me in this time, especially. So, overall, I'm going to say I'm all right is where we're at right now.
Yeah, and sometimes all right is like perfect.
Oh, for sure.
Sometimes all right, especially after a very intense period of not even being all right.
Exactly.
Sometimes you're just like, you know what?
All right feels great.
All right feels like I just won the lottery.
Exactly. Compared to where we just were, okay?
Yeah.
Like, neutral's great.
Yeah, we're living. We're good.
So I'm I mean, all of it is like, I think, having to get more okay with not being okay is just such a life lesson. And I'm glad I continue practicing it because life dishes it out. But yeah, that's a long answer to how are you. Well, I'm all right.
That, honestly, I start these episodes the same every time. I always say mental health check, how are you? And then I go on Monday, March 3rd at 3:13 in the afternoon.
Exactly.
But that was a beautifully perfect answer to that question.
Wow.
Yeah.
Look at our link. It just keeps
connected.
Coming through.
Yes.
I love that.
So introduce yourself to the people a little bit. Tell them a little bit about your backstory, your pronouns, who you are, what you do.
Yeah, so I am Christina Warden. I hail from St. Louis. I've lived all around. Now I'm on the Illinois side. But what can I tell you about me? Mental health is kind of like my whole thing, to be honest. So much of my life has been kind of woven around that tapestry, I would say, for better and worse. And I am a therapist, to illustrate that. I'm in private practice. And I do psychotherapy with adults and individuals and couples. And I love to talk about relationships and emotions. Those to me have always been like the most fascinating things in the whole universe. Human relationships are just like, wow, you know, I continue to be a student of it forever. What else can I tell you about me? Because I am a therapist and I take it really seriously, self-care is kind of like, I sometimes say self-care is my first job, like my main job, and therapy is my second job, because it has to be that way for me.
Yeah.
I really entered this profession very aware that if I am not prioritizing and centering my well-being, it won't be.
Yeah.
Even with my best efforts, with any of our best efforts, it's still a hard task, I think, in this world. But I knew that if I wanted to do this thing I want to do in the world, which is have one-on-one conversations with people about their world and see how we can together make it better, that I have to really, really invest in my well-being, like every day.
Yeah.
It can't be an afterthought. So there's many things I do, you know, mentally, physically, relationally, to support that. Today I worked out, you know, I do that quite a bit. Mm-hmm. That's become a big part of my well-being, and I'm very happy I found, I never wanted to be like a fitness girl. And I still don't know if I would qualify as one, but I do love and appreciate fitness now. Yeah. Mostly for the mental health. Like, that was my whole reason I got into it. But I do that like, I don't know, like 3 to 7 hours a week. I'm working out, and I'm like in my body and intentionally and like mindfully present with my body and how I'm using it, and like trying to really allow it to do what it needs to do, to be well. I have a partner who is great. And I have 2 dogs who are amazing. They are my children. I love them dearly. 2 little pit bulls.
Oh, I love pit bulls so much.
They're literally little angels.
I love pit bulls. Pit bulls get a horrible rap.
Oh, it's brutal.
My dad growing up had a pit bull. His name was Warden.
Oh, Warden.
He was the sweetest little blue pit. He loved me so much.
Of course he did.
I love that dog.
Of course. They just want to bond and love. Like, truly. The stigma is disgusting.
I hate it.
Honestly.
I hate it so much. They are the sweetest animals on the planet Earth.
I could even... Can I tell a little story about that?
Please.
Let me speak on pit bulls here, okay?
Please, oh my God,
that's important for Mental Health Chat Monday. So I was raised, you might hear more about my background in childhood, but like one of the things about my childhood is I was raised to be afraid of dogs. Afraid of many things. Dogs were one of them, unfortunately. And so my whole family was kind of like that growing up, and I thought that like all dogs were liable to hurt you, like given the right circumstances, and so you have to like just keep a distance. And so I went through my first like 25 years that way, and
what?
Yes, seriously. When my friends would always be like, Christina, the one thing about you that doesn't make sense is that you don't like dogs. And for a little while, I would even lie and say that I was allergic to dogs because I was so like ashamed of my aversion to them, and I didn't quite get it. And it was just easier than telling people like, I don't know, I'm fucked up. I don't know. Dogs scare me. But, so my partner, when we got together, he had a very opposite history where his whole family had many dogs. They raised dogs. They even had like some like competition dogs. Like he trained dogs. He worked at the shelter, like immersed in that world.
Whoa,
so his
very
whole
opposite.
life. Very opposite, and very competent in how to train and work with dogs of all kinds. And so hearing about that over some years, quite honestly, a couple years, I guess, and seeing him with people's dogs started to kind of get me to feel like, well, okay, like maybe it's how you work with them. Maybe it's not just they're automatically dangerous. And I started doing some research into it, and eventually I got, actually a neighbor's puppies Kismet. A neighbor's puppies broke out of their yard, 2 little pit bulls. Coincidentally, one was a brindle and one was black, which is what our dogs are now. This was crazy stuff. So 2 little pit bull puppy babies ran up in the yard, and my now husband, he yells to me, he's like, "Christina, get out here!" And so I run outside, and he's got these little puppies, and I mean, like, puppies are just, who can resist?
Oh my God!
Who can resist? I mean, truly, they will break down anyone.
Yeah.
I think...
If you don't like puppies, I don't trust you.
Oh my God. They need to, like, put some in the Oval Office. Like, just, you know, like, bring their energy more.
Yes.
Actually, no, those puppies would be hurt. I'm sorry, puppies.
We need to put them in the voting polls, actually.
Okay, in voting polls.
In the polls.
Yes.
So, like,
yes.
Do you want to protect the puppies?
Exactly. Yes, right? Have a heart.
Yeah.
So that kind of like moved the needle for me, and I was like, okay, maybe let's try it. Let's try a puppy. And he found one that was in a bad situation, and I was like, okay, it looks like a cute little black little pit bull puppy. I was like, let's try it. And so we went and picked him up. It was in this gross ass rural place in Missouri. I'm very glad we got him out of that situation. But as soon as, like, so I'm the one who picked him up from there and carried him to the car, which was not, you know, like a quarter of a mile at the very most. But on that journey, carrying this little puppy, who's now named Apollo, is the weirdest thing. Like, I mean, viscerally, I became his mom.
Skin to skin.
I'm telling you. I wouldn't have believed someone when they talk that kind of nonsense. I would be like, you're full of shit. But he became my son. And I was like, I will kill for this creature. Like, it became so powerful. I never have had a maternal instinct other than towards these dogs in my life.
I love that so much. I just love the image of you in my mind. You're just like...
I'm like, I will fucking kill you. Like... It took me over. So, and he's the most gentle creature in the world. So I tell people, like, he changed my heart. Apollo, like, really, really changed my heart, because having him opens me up to, like, the world of what it means to have dogs and, like, be in relationship with these creatures that humans have been having meaningful connections with for tens of thousands of years.
Yeah.
That's like they're among the very few other species that our species has bonded with on such a level throughout human histoy. And to me, that's crazy. So deep and powerful, and I can understand it now because I have a dog. I have 2 now, and it's I feel sad that I didn't get to know that for my first 25 years, like what dogs can be. I mean, just the simple ability to be fully in the present is such a teaching that they offer us that I think we really need. They are always just here now. Yeah. Always. And the ability to do that and to, like, let go and give people a chance. I'm always amazed that, like, dogs continue to give humans a chance. Yeah. Considering we don't deserve them. Well, exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like, humans have done brutal things. Like, even my puppy, he was not treated well before we had him. And he came to just be such a little curious, open-minded little lover. And I adore him. They're both elderly. They both have cancer now. No. We've had many tears about the fact that this might be our last year with our babies. We're trying to, you know, embrace that grief out in the open together preemptively. So yeah, that's Big tangent, but meaningful discussion.
Yes.
On pit bulls.
Listen, this is a pit bull. This is a pro pit bull channel.
Yes, pro pit bull space here.
Yes, this is a pro pit. So my dad had a pit bull when I was growing up, when I was a kid.
Morton, right?
Morton, yes. And I was not, my dad wasn't really in my life, and like this was during a time where we were kind of reconnecting, so I didn't live with him. So I would only see Morton on the weekends, but I was so happy to walk that dog, to play with him. Sure. Oh my God, he was just the sweetest. He was gorgeous.
Oh.
Beautiful blue pit.
Blue pit.
Yes, he was so beautiful.
Oh my God, and magical.
And we've never had pets growing up. I've never had a dog or anything. Like my brother snuck a dog in our basement. I don't know how.
Snuck a dog.
They snuck a dog in the basement. I don't know how. My cousin named the dog Jim Shoe. I don't know.
Well, okay.
My grandma had dogs all while I was growing up. My aunt had dogs. So
you were around them.
I was around them. I've only had one scary experience with a dog in my personal life.
Oof.
And I was a kid. It was like wintertime. My aunt had this German Shepherd. I think his name was Max.
Okay.
And where my aunt lives, excuse me, oh my God, the Brussels sprouts are fighting back against me. I'm so sorry.
You're fine.
But
I smell the candles. You're good.
Good, okay. That's why I keep turning this way. I'm like, oh God, I'm going to ruin this.
You cannot offend me.
The way where my aunt lives, like her backyard is a big hill. So he was like down at the bottom of the hill, and I was like walking out of the house. I was like 5 or 6, maybe 7.
Yeah.
And I had on this big coat. It was cold outside. And he ran up the hill and grabbed me by my arm. Mostly just the coat. He didn't get my arm.
Okay.
He dragged me around the whole freaking yard.
Oh my gosh.
I was screaming
How
for my life.
How old were you?
I was like 7.
Oh
6 or 7.
Maybe
5 or 6. Yeah. It terrified me. Didn't make me scared of dogs. It gave me a little bit of fear, but like
he was playing with
you. He was playing with me for sure.
Like in a scary way.
Yes, because like he very easily could have bit down and like broken my arm. But it was very light. It was mostly the coat. Okay. And he like,
oh my God.
I was like, I'm gonna die. This is it.
I mean, certainly.
This is it.
Oh my God.
I'll never forget that. That is one of the few memories I have of that dog in particular. But
unfortunate.
Every other dog in my life has been so sweet, and like Morton was really the one though that like every time somebody talks about pit bulls being bad dogs, I'm like, don't you dare.
I feel like you're just talking about how humans do ugly things when you say the pit bulls are bad.
Yeah, humans are bad, not the pit bulls.
I wouldn't say humans are bad, but
not inherent.
We do some really
fucked
awful things.
Yeah, that is true. That is very true. So, you kind of touched on this a little bit already. Obviously, you're a therapist, and that's why mental health and mental health awareness is important to you. But I'd love to talk about how you got into the field of mental health. What was kind of the thing that brought you to it, or brought it to you?
Okay. I'm pausing because it's such a like normal and sincere question, and it cracks open worlds for me that I'm always like, okay, what threads do I pull together here? I think about, there's this concept in Buddhism called the 10,000 things. I don't know if you've ever heard this. But
I think I have, briefly, yeah.
It's like, basically it's the idea that like everything is related at all times, right? Like,
yes, yeah.
So to explain, like, how did we get here? The Buddhist idea is, like, one answer is to say the 10,000 things, meaning 10,000 things occurred for all of this to occur. And it's an arbitrary number, but it's to indicate that
all things lead to something, essentially.
That everything is interrelated, everything occurring, that, however many billion years ago, there was a big bang and we all share the same stuff, and we're all like existing because like energy is vibrating in the same kind of ways and different shapes and time. Like, so it's to indicate that it's all connected. We're all part of this universe. We're all part of this earth. the Lakota people, who my husband has ancestors in Lakota. And I absolutely love and adore the Lakota people. Like, their worldview has been healing for me. And their culture, like the little bits of exposure I've been able to get to it, is very healing, very, very potent stuff. And they have a concept that I may say wrong, but mitakuye oyasin. And they would probably explain it way more eloquently than I could, but it's the idea that, like, this whole thing is our family. Like, this whole thing is our family. All of it.
All of it. Every piece of it. Yeah.
All of it. And so when someone asks me, like, how did you get to be a therapist? Like, a million, it all comes up for me because it's all part of the answer. But to give a more practical answer, I think I could look at it from, first off, like, kind of a biological lens, that I think I was born as a highly sensitive person, which is not like an official diagnosis, but is considered to be, like, it's a scientifically acknowledged thing that about 20% of the human population, and apparently other kinds of species too, can just have a nervous system that's a little more sensitive. And for me, particularly sensitive to people and feelings. Like, that's always been a thing for me. And I was born very sensitive, but I think into a family culture that is not able to understand that or recognize that, or much less, like, protect or honor that. And so my first many years were very lonely, I will say. Additionally, I do think depression probably runs in my family. Like, biologically, I had a grandpa who I know had some really intense seasons of depression throughout his life. And many of my cousins as well, same thing. So I think biologically, I was kind of predisposed to, kind of have a heavy heart in this world that is, that's hard. And feeling so, there are people who say, like, I thought I came from another planet, and, like, that was so true for me. Like, I really thought I landed on the wrong planet. Like, who are these people? What the take me home, please.
Why is this the family I was given to? Why are these the people I have to be around?
Oh my God, yes. Which, I have maybe more answers for that kind of a question now, 41 years later, but it was really rough, I will say. And one thing about, I think, my sensitivity, or just the way my brain works, is, like, I am very curious. I'm all, like, kind of relentlessly curious. I'm just always like, how, why, that I want to understand. This existence is weird and puzzling and fascinating, and so I'm always curious. And in my family, who is very conservative, very religious, very sheltered, my curiosity, again, was not celebrated and was seen as other problem. And I did not take to, like, our family religious indoctrination. I was resistant to that from very, very early on. And I think the worldview that my parents tried really hard to like inculcate into us, it couldn't fit in me somehow, or I don't know how to put that, but it didn't fit. And they were not the kind of parents who could like respect that difference, you know, and help me find my way. And so conflict started building in my family probably when I was like 12, 13. And there were times I got kicked out of the house. I started to, you know, I had a winding teenage path, as so many of us did, like, that involved, you know, I was desperately trying to, like, find a way to feel meaningful, alive, like, feel different than what I felt, you know? And my family was not situated to, like, help me with any of that. And so when I was 16, my sister, I have a younger sister, she also was having conflict with our parents, and they know I speak about this now, so I can tell a little bit about it. But so she became involved in this organization that I'm not sure if I'm going to say what they're called, but I will tell.
Which is totally fine.
Yeah.
You don't have to share anything you don't want to share.
Yeah, I don't know if I feel like dealing with haters right now. You know, people are... I'll tell you more about that later.
Yeah, I was about to say, but you can tell me on camera, absolutely.
Yeah. So, so basically, my family learned about this organization that presents itself as being a substance abuse treatment center for teenagers. Okay? Presents itself as, is not. Meaning they're not qualified to do that, and they instead are a cult. They meet all the criteria of a cult. Very extremely isolated, extremely demanding, very rigid hierarchical structure. They use a really powerful form of what's called trauma coerced attachment, otherwise known as trauma bonding. So like, love bomb you. We have all of the meaning that you need in the world. Everything you need. And so I tried really hard to fight that when I was 16. That was kind of antithetical to me. And they convinced my family to kick me out of the house, which I didn't know at the time is illegal. I was still a minor. But nonetheless, so I spent a little bit of time bouncing around out in the world. And I didn't have much resources or like a grit or life skills, so I was struggling quickly. And they eventually, my parents extended me a lifeline of like, okay, well, if you just come back home, like, you don't have to do it. We'll make peace. We'll be cool. Let's move forward so you have a home at least. And I was like, okay, thank goodness. So I went home, and they were like, you're going into this treatment center tomorrow. So I thought I could... It was a dude. And they had me in a vulnerable state, you know. I needed a place to live. And like most humans do. And I thought I could like enter this place and outsmart it, or like play the part long enough to get through it, you know what I mean? Because I felt like it was weird. But I totally underestimated, because how would I have known? But I totally underestimated just how powerful the grift could be, and like the love. I had no defense against that love bombing. I was starving to like be seen and loved. So suddenly being surrounded by like 300 teenagers who seem cool and are all telling you that like, we love you. We're so glad you're here. Yeah. Like, you know, you're safe now. You're so funny. All this stuff. Between that and finding that like, pretty quickly, I remember being in what they called their outpatient and finding that I was good at being able to talk to my other people and like help them through their stuff, or, you know, just support them. Like empathy comes naturally to me. And so that was so rewarding to feel like, oh, I have a purpose, you know, I have like, I have a sense of meaning, I have a purpose now, I'm valued, I'm seen, I have stability. So after my initial fight and then homelessness, you know, basically I was coerced, and I hook, line, and sinker, at that point I was in.
Yeah.
So I spent 5 years of my life in this cult.
Whoa.
Totally disconnected from the personal life development of all of my peers. My life was kind of frozen at its developmental stage of 17 years old.
Oh my God.
I don't know if you knew any of this.
No, I did not know any of this.
I don't know how much Ronnie, I think Ronnie knows I was in a cult. I don't know how much he knows of the details necessarily. But yeah.
Whoa. Sorry, it just, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but like it's
You're fine.
Surprising to me how common it is. Not common, but
no, it is.
It's very common that people get caught up in this, and they don't know.
Yes.
Or they don't want to believe because the love bombing, because of the trauma bonding, because of all these things they do to hook you in.
That's right.
My God, today.
There's so many examples of it. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. So, I could go off at length about cults. So 5 years, they recruited me to work for them within that 5 years. So I spent half of that time as a counselor, counseling, AKA indoctrinating other kids around the country into this cult, because there's branches all over the place. And
they get you when you're young, so you look good to the young people. So
absolutely.
It's so sick. It makes me sick to my stomach.
Absolutely. Yes.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yes. And they target families who are legitimately maybe struggling with teenagers, which is, pretty standard.
Yeah.
And
teenagers are crazy.
It's a lot to deal with. And a lot of parents don't have the emotional skills to kind of get through that skillfully, you know? And our society does not have the community resources that any family needs to go through big transitions well. So they prey on that. It's like a need. Like, families do need help at this stage, and they know it. Like, this kind of cult, which is a part of the broader troubled teen industry, is what it's kind of known as, that has like wilderness camps, treatment centers, like various some therapy group kind of things, but all of it is like basically like businesses that exploit this vulnerability in our society and pretend to have answers, and they prey on essentially trauma and create more trauma, and in the meantime they get wealthy. Like the people who ran the cult I was in, like, they had mansions. I ate ramen every day when I worked there.
Like, what the hell? We
lived below the poverty line as staff, doing the work. So the way that came apart, I'll share that little anecdote because I think that's a highlight in my life, I will say. So this was in 2005. And I was living in Atlanta, Georgia, and working for them there. I had been involved like 4.5 years at this point. And this place has had like media scrutiny come up every so often around the country. Like, there will be some attention, and then they end up kind of slithering away somehow, the way that cults can like rebrand and like, oh, it's fine.
Yeah.
They're unfortunately good at that, or have been so far. And at this time, a media kind of blitz was kicking off. And so I didn't know that, but I was at a meeting, like a support group meeting, with the leader of the whole cult, who's now dead. His name was Bob Meehan. I will name him. Fuck him forever. Yes, fuck you, Bob Meehan. So I was at a meeting with him. We were outside smoking cigarettes because I did that then too. For some reason, cigarettes were not a problem.
Yeah, that's crazy to me.
As is often the case in the recovery world, but definitely these were teenagers. They fully encouraged it. It was actually, like, I think, a strategic part of the grift. Like, we're cool. Look, we'll convince your parents to buy you cigarettes.
Yeah.
And they actually do, and so then you trust the cult that much more. It was so fucked up. But, sorry, I'm digressing all over the place.
No, you're good.
But, okay, so I was with Bob Meehan, we were outside smoking, and all of a sudden this news crew comes running up out of nowhere with, like, the cameras and the microphones and the whole thing, and they run at Bob, and they're like, how do you answer to these allegations of unethical, whatever, policies or something? And he's just like, nope, and we run inside, and I don't actually know what happened after that, like, in that moment, but that cracked the bubble. I had been, like, 360 bubble of a world that I had been in for 5 years. It was, like, just the slightest little crack, because it felt like, I don't think this happens at most people's jobs. Like,
I don't think most people's bosses get charged by the press.
Like, that's a normal thing. Like, I was very much like, I don't know what exactly this means, but I had a feeling. I was like, if the ship is going down, I don't want to go with this ship. Like, I don't know. I don't feel right about that. And so it took me months of sitting on that idea silently, because you don't talk about that, hey, I'm questioning this group. I might want to leave. Things will get worse for you if you do that. So I knew enough to keep that to myself. But after months of it, I finally was, I just had enough, and I decided I'm breaking out. And so I did, and I made the drive I made from Atlanta back to St. Louis with all of my stuff packed in my little car. It's one of those core memories I'll never forget. Like, just.
And you just left. You didn't say
I did
anything?
tell them.
Oh, okay.
I did tell them, yes. And I think because of the media scrutiny they were facing, they knew to handle it carefully, and I think diplomatically, they told me, actually Bob, he said, like, when you get back to St. Louis, well, he said a few things. He's like, I hope, like, you'll hang out with our people back in St. Louis, even if you're not working for us. We still love you. You're still family. They wanted to keep me in the orbit, basically keep my free labor at that point. Yeah. And they were like, he was like, you need to be cautious, because when you get back there, there's going to be people ready to turn you on us. And so don't trust any of them. And I didn't know the context at that time, so it's just like, okay, this is weird.
I don't know if I like that phrasing, actually.
Yes. And when I got back, thank goodness I had I was still doing 12-step at this time. I now, in hindsight, I don't actually believe that was the appropriate place for me. But for many years, I believed it was because I was in a cult. So I continued going to 12 steps for a while, even after I left that cult. And thank goodness for a sponsor I had, because she heard me talk about, my last job I just left, and started asking more questions. Like, wait, how much were you making? Like, how much were you working? Like, wait, all of your friends also worked there, and your sponsor, and you had to be friends and date from the same pool of people, your supervisor, like, just all of it. She's like asking these questions and, like, checking out.
Yes. Do you feel safe when you leave out in the world?
Exactly, yes. So she helped crack me open, and that began a decade of me learning about cults. Voraciously.
Wow, yeah.
Because I had to make sense of what the fuck just happened to me. like, as if my life, I mean, I think my life depended on me understanding what it is for an outside malevolent entity, essentially, to take control of your mind and heart and body for years is a really fucked up thing. Like, there's a spectrum of influence, and I mean, we're in an authoritarian world here, so like, we definitely, all of us are contending with undue influence on our lives every day. But there's levels to it, right? And to have been there's one cult expert who calls it a deployable agent. Oh God, I hate the phrasing, but it's so accurate because you become just a tool of theirs.
Yeah, they just send you out.
Yes. Like fully. So I had to understand that. And learning for 10 years about, you know, manipulation and coercion and gaslighting and narcissists and propaganda, brainwashing, complex trauma, like all of these things. Wow. I don't know, it just set me on a trajectory that it's given me a lens on understanding this world that is invaluable. Truly, like more and more every day. I can't even tell you. More and more every fucking day.
Because you see the signs of people who are indoctrinated and so very clearly just like...
It's so powerful.
Because I could look at someone on a certain particular camp and be like, you sound insane.
We see you.
We see you. I've never personally been in a cult, but I see it. Yes. But you really... see it.
I really see it.
Wow. Oh my God, Christina.
Yes. So
bring me the axe. Oh my God. No. Sorry. I'm sure you've heard that a bajillion million times, but it just popped in my head in that moment because, like, that's insane. So.
Yes. Thank you for listening to that story.
That's what we're here for. That I mean, I'm here to listen, but like, it just. It's one of my favorite things about this podcast is I learn so many things about people who are just already fascinating.
Yes, like, we're all just worlds out here, aren't we? It's wild.
We're all in each other's orbit and don't even know what's going on the surface. We don't even know. We can't see past the clouds of Jupiter. Like it's crazy.
Well said.
I want to talk just and circling back. So
we can go anywhere.
When you left, did your family stay? Did your sister and everybody stay?
So by that point, I was the only one still involved.
That's even more fucked up because your family is like, here you go. And then they ran away.
So they participated in the like parent group version of it for probably 3 years, I will say. I'm guessing until I went away to be a staff member. I think they were in it and still remained on good terms with them. And my sister had graduated from it. Maybe she did about 3 years as well in it. And so they all still had a positive view of it, but weren't like regularly associating with it at that point when I left. And when I left, I did end up moving back in with them, and they were welcoming, I will say. They didn't... All that they knew was that I felt like I wanted to go back to college, which was true. Like, I felt like I wanted to pursue an education, and they were supportive of that. They wanted me to be able to... Like, they helped me with community college. Shout out St. Louis Community College. Highly recommend STLCC.
It's very good.
It has been. I'm like pausing right now because I'm like, God, I don't even know what's the case with any institution anymore. I'm so cautious.
Heard many positive things about.
Okay, good. That makes me happy.
Specifically, Forest Park and Merrimack.
That makes
branches.
Me happy.
I attended I forget Florissant. Is it Florissant?
Yeah, Florissant Valley.
Yeah.
Yes, that's where I went.
That's where I grew up.
That's where I I grew up.
So, really?
I'm from Florissant.
I'm from all over North County, but I lived in Florissant, I lived in Ferguson, I lived in Spanish Lake, I lived in Riverview.
North County fam.
Yeah, that's where all my family still lives. They're all in North County.
Yeah, same here.
But I went there, I did dual enrollment in high school, so I took like a graphic design class.
Oh, go you.
It was great.
They had a good art program at Flow Valley.
Yeah, Merrimack has the best art program.
They probably do.
Their art program is top tier.
They probably do.
But we shout out STLCC. We love you, girl.
Love you. So yeah, so I went there, and it took years, I think, for my family to come to understand what I tried to tell them it was and what had happened. And it really wasn't until maybe a couple years ago that actually they were like, we really had no idea. We're so sorry. Like, we really did not know. We were desperate. We were lost. It was a mistake, and we're so sorry. And I appreciate that. I think they were like most parents, they were doing the best they could.
Yeah, they were doing what they felt like they needed to do to help their daughter.
And parents shouldn't have to be super skeptical of everyone who offers help. Like an organization that's like, hey, we have the answer to your problem. Mm-hmm. It sucks that I don't know, we have to be such critical consumers now, and I think that's just a guardrail my parents don't necessarily have, mm-hmm. that kind of scrutiny. But a really cool turnaround on that whole story is that in 2020, when everybody was kind of at home and everyone in the whole world was reflecting and, going deep in our histories and all that shit, several of us survivors, at this point, I had been doing my research on all of this stuff for years and years, and I was a therapist at this point. Mm-hmm. Just kind of using this lens I have to help, the people I talk to. But in 2020, the survivors of this cult all started to kind of contact each other and talk about what we had all gone through. And I was so excited because I had things to offer this mm-hmm. community to help them understand it. I had kind of always hoped that something like that I could make use of this, especially with the people who went through what I went through. And they formed a Facebook group in 2020, and it blew up instantly. There was 700 people in a month or something.
Whoa.
Yeah. There's thousands of people around the country that have gone through this specific group, and probably millions that are like this group. Mm-hmm. So it's a collection of us who were really passionate about kind of supporting one another, decided to make a website and really aggregate the mental health knowledge that most serves our community, and helping to also educate the public who might be looking into this program and considering going there. Mm-hmm. So we made this website and a nonprofit to go with it to try and be a hub of support to others who are getting out. And again, inform people, spare them the suffering.
Yeah.
Or at least educate them. And that has been so fruitful, and I know has made a really big difference in multiple people's lives. We've been fortunate to hear about that, and being able to extend my unique knowledge to this effort was one of the most gratifying things of the whole journey. Because when we have language for what we have been through, it makes such a difference. Yes. When we have conceptual frameworks to put things into, to be able to, it helps you to understand, understanding our journeys is a big deal. And I don't know. So that community is amazing, and I'm honored to be a part of it, and honored to be a therapist among them. So
that's so beautiful. And it honestly, knowing that backstory now makes so much sense as to why you're so focused on relationships and interactions amongst people. It like
you got it.
You got it. It's important. It's important
everything.
To you.
Yes.
And to know that coming from a history of being so manipulated and like completely turned around on what a relationship should actually be.
Exactly.
Yes. What a beautiful thing you're doing for yourself.
Thank
Not
you.
for everybody. I mean, of course, everybody around you, but for yourself, to heal yourself in that way by healing other people is such.
Well said.
Oh my God,
well
that
said.
is such a beautiful thing.
I mean, I think that's how it works. For me, it does. Like it's healing me to be a part of. I don't know. Yeah. Thank you for seeing that.
Like as soon as you started talking about it, I was like, oh my God, this makes so much sense.
There's a phrase, relationships. Oh gosh, I'm not going to get it right now. But it's essentially like there's nothing that can wound us like relationships. It is the thing that wounds humans the deepest.
Yeah.
Like truly more than anything else. Like even if you go through a natural disaster, of course you're going to be traumatized and your life can be wrecked. But it's the relationships that hurt us on the deepest level. And relationships are where we heal the most. And we can reverse that whole, like that damage to turn that around. Like that's, to me, like that's what alchemy is. That's what magic is. That's what healing is.
Yeah.
That's what transformation is. Decolonization. Like to me, colonization is all about like separating to own and control. And decolonization, it reconnects all of us with ourselves and each other and this whole bigger living planet we're on. Wow, I'm going deep. Sorry.
No, I am. Every conversation is different. Every conversation leaves me with a new piece of myself and a new piece of what, like, life experiences that I can't even imagine having had. What the fuck? What is wrong with people?
Man, I hear you.
It really is something. Cults specifically are things that like I've watched a mini documentary on one of the girls. I love to watch the documentaries about cults and
there's one about ours.
We will be talking about that off camera because I want to know because I might have watched the documentary already.
You might have.
But I just it part of me until you. And I've seen so many people break it down in a similar way to you, what you have, where like they prey on you because you're weak and and not having been involved in a cult, not having been, taken by that. From the outside looking in, it's like, how did you let yourself get duped?
Exactly.
Is a thought that I have.
It's what we all think. I can even think it now, even knowing what I know.
Yeah.
I look at the right wing and I'm like,
how can you let yourself get duped?
Allow this?
How can you let yourself get duped that way?
And I do know.
It makes
sorry,
sense.
I cut you off.
But you are so right. It makes so much sense that they're gonna prey on the people that are weak. They're gonna prey on the people that don't have money, that don't have resources, that don't have empathy for themselves, let alone empathy for other people.
Well, and I will even add to that. It's not so. I mean, I really do believe like human predators are the most dangerous thing on this planet. Like really and truly. Because they just want to take everything. They can never get enough.
Yeah.
Like there is no enough.
They want everything.
They want everything of your labor, your energy, your time, your devotion. And not just that, but they want money and power and land and resources. And they take from this planet. Like that, it's the same mechanisms at every level. There are cults that are just two people, which are often called an abusive relationship, where most of us are familiar with what those are like. It's the same mechanisms at a family level of a cult. There can be family cults, small organizations, religions, national, multinational. Like there's every scale, but it's the same mechanisms that are operating in every single case. And in every single case, those human predators are exploiting a human vulnerability that we all have. This is what's so painful, is that it's not just weak people, but it's a vulnerability we all have. Humans, this is a double-sided thing. Part of our strength is our relationality, right? Like, that's how, as foolish as our species is, we are still on this planet. Like,
yeah, somehow.
Somehow. It's because we work together. We're deeply social creatures. This is an incredible strength, like what we can achieve together. On this planet, there's so much evidence of it, for better and worse. But this creates a vulnerability that can also be exploited when it's not being met in healthy ways, which none of us are having it fully met in healthy ways. To be a part of a healthy world is something that our bodies and brains and hearts need.
Like craving. Yeah.
Craving to be in good, healthy relationship and community. We need it.
Yeah.
And it is so scarce in this world. And it leaves this unmet need that at some times in some people's lives is kind of gaping, you know, especially when you're going through a life transition. That's a key moment that predators will seek out. So like a graduation, a death, moving, an acquired disability, all sorts of things. Like you come into a lot of money. Like there are transitional points that people go through in life, and predators target those moments because you're more vulnerable. And specifically, we need connection. We need to belong, and we need like a sense of meaning and purpose.
Yeah. In
addition to the basics of like safety and survival, you know, of course those, every living thing needs those. We also need community.
Yeah.
And there are people who will exploit this unmet need, and they're very good at it, and they practice it, and they're skilled at it. And I have met some disturbingly skilled human manipulators, like predators, that I would not have believed we could be in the same species. You know what I mean? Like before.
It's scary.
It is scary
when you meet someone and they are so charismatic and kind and
yes. Yes.
And then they just completely 180. Because I've experienced that in interpersonal relationships where I'm like,
of course you have.
Wow, I really thought you were somebody that I could trust, and we could build a friendship or partnership or something like that, and they just whoa, where did this person come from?
Absolutely.
What is happening?
Yes. It's so disturbing. So yeah, I value that knowledge because I think it does affect everyone. Like you're saying, you've of course you've come across people. Almost everyone has come across at least an individual, if not a larger group, that is like this.
Yeah.
And given the right circumstances, this is what I think is so important for people, especially in the U.S., to understand. Given the right circumstances, at the right time, the right predator who delivers the right grift in just such a way on you can work. It can work. It can work. Ugh! It still makes me sick to know that, but I know it's true. Like even knowing as much as I do now, I also know it's not a perfect protection because I still want to connect with people, and I'm still going to open my heart up when people feel safe enough. I am discerning, don't get me wrong, and I have way more filters and standards than I used to, for sure. I've learned the hard way. But I mean, these are some of the lessons that I think our species didn't learn after like the Holocaust. Like we all have vulnerabilities under certain circumstances. We can all be manipulated and coerced, and your identity can be overtaken by something malevolent, and you can be used to do harm.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I mean, that's a thing, you know, it's another reason that my life is so centered around healing. I know what it is to be an agent of harm,
mm-hmm.
you know? I mean, I guess every human does on some level. We all hurt each other, you know? We all fuck up.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, I've been used to do harm systematically.
Yeah.
And because I'm good at empathizing and I'm a good communicator, I was good at it.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Thank you.
Oh, no, I just knowing who you are, I know that is such a painful thing for you, to know that you're, what is a beautiful gift as an empath, as an empathetic person.
Yes, you get it.
As an incredibly sensitive person.
Yes.
I like to listen. I talk about it all the time. The most vulnerable I am is either in my art or on this podcast. It's very hard for me to, like, let that down, but I am incredibly empathetic and incredibly sensitive. And, like, so I know, I can not know, but I can imagine how it feels to have that thing that you are so proud of in yourself, or maybe even a little scared of, be turned into something so harmful.
Yes. It is gnarly. Mm-hmm. Whew. And when I left and, you know, began my healing journey, which has included, by the way, probably 20 years of therapy, like, just about, let's be real here. I've tried it all. I've benefited from so many resources. What was I going to say about that? I was going to say, where did my thought go? Don't you love when that happens?
It happens to me more often than I wanted to.
We were on a train going somewhere good.
And I lost my ticket. I say it all the time. I lost my ticket.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. That's great. I'm going to take that one.
Yeah, you can have it. I say it all the time. I lost my ticket to the train of thought. Mm-hmm. It's gone, honey.
It was something about how turning around. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Thank you. So after I left that cult, where I was a counselor, like I said, again, no real credentials, no real training. Their training was a fucking sham, and I was in college back here, and figuring out that I wanted to actually be a therapist, like a real one. I wanted to be a real one, like actually experience the higher education system and get real trained in it and get real licensed in it, like, because it still was so meaningful to me, even though I had just been through that. I still felt like this is my heart. This is what I feel looking at this world and what I think it needs. This is how I feel I can best show up and lend this whole thing, you know, my strengths and limits and experience. Like, being a therapist has just, it's consistently felt like this is it for me. And that just got more and more strong as I went through my education program. The whole time I was also educating myself, like I said, on, like, cults and like relational, like the social psychology that was not as taught in my therapist training programs. A lot I could say about that, but that's a tangent we won't go on right now. I have a lot of criticisms about the education system as a whole, okay? Yeah. The politics of it all. But nonetheless, I did appreciate a lot of my education, and I got a lot from it. And when I first started my first practicum, it was like a whole thing. I kind of had to reckon with, like, being triggered, like, that doing therapy was kind of triggering initially.
Yeah, going back into this thing that was used.
Yes. And Jamie, who I mentioned before.
Friend of the pod, you have seen him.
Yes.
Check out his episode.
Yes, there's another episode on Jamie. And he is a bright light in my journey. He was my supervisor in like my first big internship. that's like serious professional shit, like your name's on the door, you know? And I'm so grateful for Jamie. Like, he was so reassuring and comforting and understanding, and had space for this part of my history that is kind of vulnerable to present to colleagues, you know? People, especially at that time, I was like, am I crazy? Kind of yes, kind of no. But yeah, I'm glad I persevered through that like I was not deterred. I knew, like, I just kind of have to move through this little bit of triggering and like find I'm doing this very differently than what I was doing back there.
Yes.
There's similar strengths I'm using because of course, you know, but the aims are so different. So different. Especially the way that I understand, you know, relational well-being, kind of like we've been talking about, is very opposite of what a cult is trying to do. Like, I'm interested in liberation. That's what I'm going for in the healing conversations I have with my clients and with anybody else. Like, I want all of us to be moving towards liberation. And I don't know if there's no way to know, but like, if I would be this capable of doing what I'm doing if life had not seasoned me in the way that it did. You know what I mean?
Isn't that the fucked up part of it?
It's such a nuanced thing because I'm very careful to not say I'm glad it happened.
Yes.
That, you know, I don't like to silver linings trauma. Like,
yeah, no.
And I guess it's, you know, it's that wisdom of like, it's not what happened to me that made me better. It's how I responded to what happened to me that made me better. I think that's the truth of it. Like, because I can tell you there's a lot of people that went through the cult I went through that are not alive today, that are lost in addiction today, that are unhoused today, that are... Oh, you're sweet. Thank you. Oh, do you need to plug yourself in?
No, this is fine.
Okay.
We're good.
Yeah, I don't want to celebrate, you know, what we went through because the scale of damage that it continues to cause is immeasurable. And also I can't deny that there is a way I'm able to be helpful in people's lives. Again, like, I feel more all the time because of the era we are in, what we are heading towards. My skill set is unique and it is needed all the time, everywhere. I mean, at people's jobs, in their relationships, their marriages, their communities. Like, I get to experience the benefit of, you know, when people just have a little bit more awareness and a little bit more access to their power and a little bit more access to our curiosity and some solidarity, like somebody saying, like, I see what you see, you're not crazy. Like, that can totally change someone's trajectory.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm a very fortunate person. And I also know, like, I could have been one of those people that didn't survive this. I very easily could have been one of the people that didn't survive this. So yeah, it's complex. But as I said, I could talk forever about this.
Oh my God, I don't even really need this because... We
don't need it?
No, I don't even really need this.
Okay. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you for your candor.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Your story and your light and your energy.
Thank you.
To know all of these hurtful things that have happened to you in the past and to come out on this side of it as just such a bright person is, I commend you. I couldn't even imagine. I genuinely couldn't imagine.
You are a dear heart.
The pain of all of that is just, and everybody's pain is different. I've experienced my own pain.
Of course.
But, my God.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Seriously, genuinely, thank you. Thank you for what you're doing for the world. Thank you for coming on this podcast, for being my friend, for being friends with my partner who linked us together.
Such an amazing human.
I love that man.
I love him so very dearly. I think, Ronnie is an unforgettable human, isn't he?
He really is.
I met him when I was deprogramming from the cult and going to Mokovi's coffee shop with my ex at the time. And, he'd just be flooding around talking shit. And
which is not quite different from today. Floating around and talking shit is a great,
and I was
great
like,
way
oh my
to
gosh,
him.
This person is my friend. And it just was that way instantly.
He is a remarkable, I am developing a speech impediment in my 30s, a remarkable human being. I don't know what the hell is going on.
Yes, okay.
So, wow,
yes.
Your story is so beautiful. And I genuinely, y'all, I'm not acting. I did not know any of this at all before. And if Ronnie did tell me at some point, he didn't go deep or like
Well, I'm happy to share it.
That message is gonna hit somebody so hard, and they're gonna
I
be
hope
like,
so. I hope so. I fought fucking hard for it.
Oh my God, what a fighter. Okay.
And I'm not done because, man, the bullies have gotten bigger.
Yes, and there's work that still needs to be done. And I think that's the importance of things like this, which is why I'm honored to just have friends to be like, hey, to just be able to reach out to somebody and be like, hey, you want to be on my podcast? Like,
I love this so much.
It brings me, and I was telling you this before we started filming, that like it brings me out of everything that I'm in.
Exactly.
It gives me new perspectives on so many different aspects of life.
Yes, I believe it.
And it just, somebody out there watching is healed from your testimony. Not my church side coming out.
No, but I love it.
Not the church coming out.
I love it. This has been a whole, yes.
I've spent a lot of time
in church. It's been a whole service in here. I feel it.
And the energy is so...
I couldn't have done this without, like, for real. Going to some of those places I shared about, I don't do with just anybody, and it doesn't feel safe to always go there. It takes a lot of trust. And I feel that you get it, and you can honor the truth, and you can go in some really messy places. And so thank you for letting me kind of go on those winding paths. I mean, I think I said what I needed to say, and that feels good. Good. That's what this is about. That's what this is. Thank you. Because we all need a place. We all need a place to feel safe. It's good to speak openly about these things. And I don't know that I would have if we wouldn't have ended up in a conversation like this. Well, I'm glad you got to speak on it. Thank you. I am glad you felt safe to share it. I thank you for trusting me with your story. You're an angel. I'm trying to remember where my next question was, because I'm floored. I am floored by you and just how magnificent you are as a human. Oh my gosh. Like trying to get my brain to go back to the story. I'm just a doll. Oh my goodness. I can look at my notes and see if there's things we wanted to talk about. Thank you. You brought the church out of me. That doesn't happen very often. I love that. Yes. So I grew up relatively religious. Okay, I don't want to say like super religious. I grew up non-denominational Christian. We went to church every Sunday. I went to Bible study and children's school. Yeah. But some other parts of my family are much more religious than I was brought up, and much, much, much more religious than I am now. Yeah. But
I think the thing I want to circle back to the most before we wrap up is in deprogramming yourself from the cult and deprogramming yourself from what was normalcy for you for so long. Okay.
Yeah, let's let it come.
How were you able to, I don't want to use the word resist because that doesn't feel right. Sure. But how were you able to keep yourself out of that cycle again? And not just with like other mass cult situations, but like you said, with the little cults and relationships and the little traumatic things that happen interpersonally.
The smaller instances. Yeah. Yes, of course. Great question. So, oh goodness. Without opening up a whole nother world, I will say I had a repeat lesson in this teaching from life when I graduated and became a therapist for a year and a half. And yeah, it is a whole nother world to crack open, but suffice to say, it's the same thing. Same thing. And that was kind of at community college, they offer you what's called a capstone class, right? There's like a final class you take at the end to sort of wrap all of the learning together and demonstrate This was kind of my capstone class in terms of human predators. I had that I don't want to give too many details.
Yeah, we don't have to get deep into it. You don't have to share anything you don't want to share.
Yes. This human predator is a litigious human predator. So I have to be cautious. But I went through kind of a round 2. And at this point, with the knowledge, which is hard to describe how much more crazy making it was as a result of that. But it really, really almost broke my brain. Like I almost didn't survive that. And it was someone who took advantage of a life transition I was in when I had a need for security. And this capstone class is one that taught me a layer of the cult world that I hadn't yet appreciated, which is human attachment theory. That has only in the last handful of years begun to be named and acknowledged in the cult world, like in the cult recovery, cult studies world. Human attachment, even though it's like literally the centerpiece of all of this, as I referenced earlier, I think our society is it's newly beginning to understand and talk about, in a deeper level. And it's that knowledge has infiltrated the cult recovery world just only very recently. And so I honestly, everything I knew more than most people about cults with this capstone experience, as I'm calling it. But I didn't understand attachment and how someone was using a deep attachment in a manipulative way. I didn't fully understand that was a crucial piece of the vulnerability. And that is something I have to remain vigilant about, because I am a very sensitive person. I'm a very empathetic person. I think I have had to really train myself to not give everyone the benefit of the doubt automatically, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
To be more scrutinizing of people and discerning. I've had to train myself how to do that. And that experience taught me a fucking lot. And that's another reason I said I can't ever say I'm like immune from these experiences. Mm-hmm. Life has shown me I'm not. Like, people can find a way under the right circumstances. So, that was an ordeal that took an enormous amount of every kind of resources and support for me to break free of. Mm-hmm. And I did that about 7 or 8 years ago now. And there are ways I'm still recovering from that one. Particularly, I want to say my professional confidence suffered because of that. Mm. And that is honestly why even doing things like this is an important part of healing for me, because like speaking about myself in this kind of a role, with any sort of authority on mental health, you know, not even because of like my license, but just like my life experience and who I am, you know, is like, I need opportunities to do that. And like, you've given me an opportunity to practice that and, you know, kind of just face that fear of presenting myself as someone who has something to say about well-being and about relationships and about our emotional lives. I don't know. I'm still learning, to tell you the truth, and healing. And I think I can offer a strategy that actually has been really important for me in this regard, like to not be kind of conned by these sort of people again. I have learned that I can get really excited about people in the beginning when I'm like, oh my gosh, like I get them, we're connecting, they get me. And I don't even just mean like in a romantic or sexual way, but just people in general. You know, I can just get like, you know, I fucking love people. Like I've said, people are just whole worlds, and I'm curious and I want to understand. And I fucking just fall in love with people like really easily. I don't know that that's a flaw, but it is something I have to like guard myself against. Yeah. And so I've learned to slow down, like pump the brakes, go slower than what feels natural for me when I'm feeling that, you know, like just enthralled, with someone. I've learned to like slow down, because I remember sometimes you end up learning things about people that you wish you would have gone slower, or, you know, that life lesson. So I institute that now. And another thing I do is, I'm going to say like, well, in my profession, what we call it is peer consultation, but I do it in my personal life, that if I'm feeling psyched about a group, a project, a person, I talk to my people who know me the best, and I try to be really transparent with them, and I seek their input on like, do you see any red flags here that maybe I'm missing? Are there any reasons you can see that like maybe I'm approaching this thing wrong or understanding this thing wrong? And I do that not because I'm going to like adhere to their their commands or whatever, right? But because like consensus is beneficial, and they sometimes can see things that I don't about people. You know, part of like a strength of being a therapist is that I give people the benefit of the doubt, and like I want to understand from their vantage point always. But it has limitations. So there are people in my life who are a lot more naturally skeptical of others, and I benefit from their analysis, So yeah, those are things that help me in general to navigate. And I will say groups in general are something I generally do avoid. And I don't know that is necessarily even something I want to change at this point. I am a naturally introverted person, and I benefit from like a small collection of deep connections that I like to have, one-on-one or like a couple people at a time. But groups are hard for me. Yeah. I think because of my experience and just how sensitive I am. A lot comes up, and I don't always know how to navigate, skillfully without just like withdrawing or shutting down or like kind of performing. It's really hard for me to sustain my full self in a way that feels safe in a group.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of just okay with that. Like I get my social needs met. I still participate in things that are meaningful to me. And I'm not closed off to it. I'm just like super skeptical, and it would have to be a super like stellar group for me to ever like join or, join something again. Yeah. So great question though. Like, how do I kind of protect myself from those situations? Yeah.
I could see it being, especially when you're fresh out, like so easy to slip back into it.
Exactly.
And find comfort in it that you don't even want to find in it.
Exactly. So well said. Yes. Comfort you don't even want to find in it. Yes. That's it. Yeah. I could not believe I ended up in such a similar but different situation. I mean, it was, how many years after? 12 years after I got out of the cult.
Wow.
That I ended up in this, round 2 situation. I will say, like, again, without going into detail of that particular instance, I was kind of the first one in a wave to challenge that system and leave it kind of defiantly, if I might add.
Yes.
I really summoned my full power to do that back then, and a whole trickle of people came out, a whole river of people came out after that as a result, and there is now. Weirdly enough, like a little informal support group of us that share our experience about it, because we all got out and continue to try and be a part of the mental health world and healing and on our own healing journeys. And again, my knowledge has been so valuable to these peers, and I'm really proud that I broke out of that one. I had the privilege of hearing after others came out, and connected with me, that I apparently became like lore, like mythic legend.
What?
that I kind of vexed the leader so deeply. Oh, it still really really gives me
yes.
Oh my God. And I'm proud of that, because I mean, I just very, very simply reflected some truth, and a predator does not want that to be seen in a group, especially. And I could have done it more gracefully or sooner or whatever, but I don't even give a shit. I survived that thing. And I'm so proud of myself as a new therapist to also be still showing up and helping my clients, and like getting through a very harrowing personal experience. I mean, you know what it's like when you're trying to like put good out into the world and you're like, I'm just maybe alive here.
Yeah, I actually want to crawl in a hole and never come out of it again.
Exactly, yes.
But here's all my goodbyes.
Yes. That shit is hard.
Yes.
And I did that for like a year and a half. But I made it out. And I'm healing from that. And so, good question again. You really know how to get to the good stuff.
It's all about active listening.
You're so good at it.
I've been told that I should have been a therapist.
Oh, you'd be a great one.
And I always say my therapy is art.
Well, then that's what you should be.
Yeah,
that's
it's what helps me communicate. It's what helps me get my message across, and
I feel
people to relate to me, and
but
I love listening, and I love hearing people's stories and talking and just chatting.
You are fantastic at this.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yay.
Okay, so we're gonna round out this episode.
Okay, let's do it. It feels
I've got
full.
just a few questions.
Yeah, sure.
And they're not even really questions. They're just like, I always end these the same way. I always start and end the same way. Okay. So here on Mental Health Chat Monday, we have a motto.
Yes.
It's called Turning Mental Illness into Mental Wellness.
Yes.
What does mental wellness look like, feel like, sound like, smell like? What is the definition of mental wellness to you?
Okay, so I read this question and I actually took some notes. Can I share them?
Yes, please.
Okay. Because I kind of loosely worked with a definition here for myself because I really appreciated the question of like, what is mental wellness? Let's try and capture it here. So this is like my working definition. Okay. Moving toward more right relationship with our thoughts, emotions, sensations, body, our people, and the larger family of living things on this gorgeous, precious living planet. And then I mentioned that what I said earlier to you, the Mitakuye Oyasin, which, did I say that while we were recording? Yep. Okay. And the interdependent origination, like the Buddhist idea of like, that it is all connected. And to me, I think mental wellness is about trying to honor that. So there's no one right way, but seeking to do it as skillfully as we can, you know, and respond to our thoughts, our emotions, like these bodies, like each other. It's all relationship, and relationships are like fluid things, so they can change at any time. At any time, it can change. Yeah. You know, the thoughts that are coming up, I can shift my orientation towards them. I can bring a little compassion in, and like, oh, suddenly it's a little easier. So yeah, that's kind of what I came up with, like moving towards more right relationship with all of it. With all of it.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Beautiful. I just always leave these feeling so full.
Oh my gosh, I feel so full too. I feel great. This is amazing. I just love you.
I love you too. And I think this is like one of the first times we've really got to like sit and like talk.
It is, yeah. Yes, I've wanted to do this, and I love that we have begun.
Yes, I'm so glad too.
I'm so glad too.
Last thing.
Yeah, okay.
Leave us with a little piece of advice for allies of those who have mental illness, and for those who are just starting their journey of healing with mental illness.
So, I mean, one thing I would say is I would gently challenge the idea that there is two camps, that there are allies over here and that there's those of us with mental illness over here. I think that is a myth. Honestly.
I agree.
Yes, I had a feeling you might.
I agree.
I think it's, you know, being human is hard for all of us. And I think all of us are susceptible to be like having a kind of fucked up relationship with our thoughts and feelings and emotions and each other and the world. Like all of us, we go through it all the time. Yeah. And so I think anybody who's just like, oh, I'm an ally to people with mental illness, I really would invite them to just be a little bit more like curious and maybe humble about like your experience, because honey, like you've gone through it too. Like you've been a mess too, you know? I say to the, you know, rhetorical you in the world. I mean, hopefully people who are listening to this podcast are embracing, that like we're all working at this deal, but nonetheless, like, so that would be my first thing is like, these aren't two camps. Like we're all in the struggle together, and maybe some of us just
have it a little more severely than others.
Yes, there's a range, there are varieties, there are seasons. Advice. Did I write something down about that? Let me see. Oh, yes, I did. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, yes. So it will be consistent with something I said throughout this, which is that curiosity, I think, is an undervalued human superpower. Mm. Just simply being more curious. If you are going through hell, can you just be a little bit curious about even the edges of your experience, or the tiniest little space of, is there anything in you that is okay or neutral even? Can we be curious about like how it's even moving, how the hell is moving through us, moving through our lives? Like, I think at every level, curiosity is valuable. Mm. It's art, relationships, recovery, everything. Like, if you want to improve a situation, bring more curiosity into it. And so that would be my advice.
I love that. I love the idea of not the idea of curiosity, but I'm a naturally curious person.
Yes.
So that makes so much sense. That's so beautiful.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And I just want to say, I know you are naturally introverted. I know you were a little, maybe not anxious, but like a little worried about.
Oh, I was anxious. Yes.
A little anxious about this, but you are a natural.
Thank you.
You have a story that is so poignant, powerful, and important. Mm. And no matter what form you decide to share it in after this, I hope that you get to reach as many people as you need to reach with your story, because it, like I said, is poignant, important, and powerful. It has moved me so much, and I know that when this goes out, that people will be moved. And I just think that you have. I know that you have a power in you and in your voice and in what you have to say. So I want you to take that from this.
Oh my God.
You have it. You don't have anything to be anxious about. These situations are scary. I've been doing this a long time.
Yeah.
I've been
familiar with it.
Public speaking is like my superpower.
Yes.
It's the thing that
I love that power.
I was gifted with, and I don't know why. I don't know who was like, this one should talk.
We need it. Yes.
Yeah. And I am humbled and gracious at the idea of getting to share people's stories through my gift of gab.
Oh my God, what a great use of it.
I couldn't think of anything better to do with it. I really, truly, there's nothing more that I could want to talk about than the absolutely amazing human beings that are in my life and in my orbit and have such just important things to say. And necessary things to say. So necessary. So thank you so much for being here.
Wow.
Is there anything you want to plug? Anything you have going on? Anything you want to shout out?
I will say I am available for new clients if they're a good fit. In the state of Missouri, I can have couples and individuals. And to anyone outside of Missouri, I can offer coaching. So I can't be a therapist to them, but more like direct advice-y kind of approach than therapy approach. And if people want to find me for that or like look into my stuff, you can look on inclusivetherapists.com, which is an amazing resource, by the way. A lot of people know about Psychology Today as kind of like the big, hub where you can find therapists, which, I do have a Psychology Today profile and like that's useful and all, but Inclusive Therapist is like explicitly interested in supporting BIPOC practitioners and clients. It is an overtly like decolonizing, anti-carceral approach. And in the world of mental health, that is so vital and especially here in the Midwest, is like very rare. You know, I have my few little allies I hold tight to that share my approach, or I guess mindset towards therapy and mental health, but it's definitely not the norm here. So if you're in Missouri and like that's the kind of therapist you're looking for, seek me out, you know, and let's see if we might be a good fit. You can email me. Other than that, like I am on social media, but I'm not trying to be like out there with social media. It's kind of wild out there.
I really, if I didn't have an album to promote, I would not have come back.
It's kind of like, whoa, I don't know if my skin is thick enough for it.
It is
that
worse.
World.
It's so much worse now.
Oh my God, it's brutal.
Yeah, I took 2 months off social media. I
don't blame you.
It was amazing. Yeah. It was so good for my mental health.
Great choice.
And I came back and I was like, it is the wild, wild west in these streets.
I can consume it, you know, intentionally. Like there's so much great content creators out there who I really love and have benefited from. But stepping out there, I don't know yet.
Yeah. Listen, give it some time. Take it from a goal. Who knows? Give it some time.
Okay, fair.
It's treacherous out here in these streets.
Thank you for that validation.
Yeah. I'm telling you, if I wasn't promoting this in my album, like
I believe you,
I would not be.
Oh my God.
I hate social media. I wish there was another way for me to tell people about the stuff that I'm doing that wasn't social media.
For real. Can we have a healthier version of social media?
Please.
So to those of you watching who are good-hearted humans, who like to be kind to our friend here and each other, like, thank you. We see you. We love you. Please continue bringing that good energy to the internet.
Yes, please, because we need it now more than ever. I will... InclusiveTherapist.com?
Yes.
I will link that down below so that you can find Christina. I think she will be a great fit for anybody. Most people. Not anybody.
Not anybody.
There's somebody that
if you were with us on this conversation.
If you get what was happening here,
then come see me.
Yes, absolutely. And of course, my name is DDare Bionic. I am at DDare Bionic on all social media. It's called branding. Look it up. I will see you all
we love him.
Next week with a brand new guest. Thank you so much for tuning in. I love you. I mean it. Bye.
Bye.